Morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. I was watching another video there and I just got completely lost track of time, and thank goodness because there's not many people on. But anyway, first of all, I want to listen to a View, and we're going to listen to Brendan, and because he was talking about a couple of players yesterday, and one of the ones is pictured on the screen now.
Brendan, your thoughts on today's match?
A very, very complete performance. These games, as we know, can prove tricky over the years. Teams come with big motivation from either further down the league or a league below. But I thought our professionalism, concentration, and quality in the game was very, very good. And very pleased.
How significant were the timings of the goals today? You've scored one early, worked all the way through into the injury time within the first period, and then almost finished the game off straight off the bat in the second half.
Yeah, but with timing is obviously always important, and when you score, but we always come out after every game or before every game to start fast. So I thought after the first 5-10 minutes, once we got the pitch geography for some of the players, because they haven't either played or played a great deal, then I thought we were excellent. We had to work the ball. But we're a real threat in the game.
Dane Murray has gone away with the player of the match. I know that he contributes wherever he plays, but on the occasions you've asked him to play as that central striker, he does reward you with goals on every occasion.
And that's why I play him there. I think you only need to have a look. If anyone has done any depth of work on Dane Murray before he came in here at Yokohama, you can see he plays a striker and you see all the various range of goals that he scored. He may not be your maybe traditional up and down number 9 who maybe isn't as mobile, but he score goals in a different way. He's shown that he's a mobile number 9 who can run in behind, who's got good movement and speed and can make those finishes that come in the box. And again, his 3 goals today, absolutely great. First one, striker's finish, find the bottom corner, pass it in. Second one, joining in, cross, finishes, and then obviously from the wide area he tracks the game really well and then shows a great explosive speed to get in. So can score all different types of goals, but he's been absolutely sensational this season, and his work rate, because it's not just 21 goals he scored, it's everything else he brings to the team, the value he gives us in our presence. So
It's 50 goals in total, Brendan, for Celtic.
So happy for him.
And I know that you've invested a lot of time in maturing Yang as a footballer. How pleased are you with his contributions today, assists and goal, which were thoroughly deserved?
Yeah.
Now this is one that we really need to listen to, because Yang's a player that completely frustrates a lot of the Celtic fans. So I'm really interested to hear what Brendan Rodgers says about Yang, because he's stuck with it. He has stuck with Yang, and you're going to say, look, he's a player that is ultimately, he has to stick with him because we've got him as a player.
He made the finish look easier than what it was. It was a really good ball in by Tony, but he's got to make up the ground to get there and finish. And really, really pleased for him. It's it's a big challenge playing at a club this size, because you've got to produce. As a wide player, you've got to create goals, score goals, work hard, and nice for him to get that today.
Now the challenge midweek will of course be significantly different from what you faced today, but what do results like Dundee midweek and today do for the kind of confidence and just fluency of performance going into such a big tie?
Yeah, it's professionalism. I think whatever challenges we have, and we know they vary here from domestic to cup to league to European. So, but the players have shown that they adapt to that. Clearly, the quality and the speed goes up a notch. So, but we've shown that we can cope with that. So, I'm really looking forward. I've said that this will be supercharged here on Wednesday night, and I cannot wait. So, and wait to see how we perform against a really top team.
Yep, see how we perform against a really top team. Angelo, what were you up half the night that you've only woke up at 5 p.m? That's a sleep and a half. I wish I could do that. Anyway, another player that didn't get much of a mention by Brendan Rodgers on the Celtic TV channel is Dane Murray. And I think that Brendan Rodgers, well, he did talk about him on one of the other channels, but Dane Murray, he was born on the 26th of June 2003, he's 21-year-old, and he's Scottish. He helped with the Scottish contingent, but he's also 6'3", And you've got to say, he's got the looks, hasn't he? He's got the looks. Not only has he got the potential to be a great footballer, but he's going to break hearts all around the country, and he's going to get Celtic females, well, maybe even Celtic men, chasing after him by the dozens. And not only that, but he's a fantastic footballer. A lot of people give Dane Murray a bit of stick after the game down in Birmingham. And I said at the time, I was like, there was a player that came on. Now, I'm not going to make a comparison to Henrik, but there was a player that came on called Henrik Larsson that had an absolute nightmare of a first game for Celtic. And if Dane Murray goes on to have a fantastic career for Celtic and takes over from Cameron Carter-Vickers one day at the back and becomes the dominant force and has a career like Roy Aitken, if he has a career like Roy Aitken, it'll be sticking two fingers up to a lot of people that have negative thoughts about their own stars when they come through the team. I said one mistake, one little slip, and you seen him bang the ground with his fist. He was raging himself that he slipped and he gave the ball away. But yesterday, he played fantastic. And people will say, look, it's a different level. It's Rafe Rovers. Come on, calm down. But Brendan Rodgers seems to think that Dane Murray will be a cracking player. Now, talking about Yang, we'll get back to Murray in a minute, but we'll talk about Yang. He has made the Korea Jong Yang Daily. Yes, he's made the papers back home. Yang nets first goal for Celtic in a 3-3 draw with Dundee. And then Yang joins Hibernian on loan. And then he leaves. What? And then leaves for Genk. It was upsetting. Yang started life at Celtic Park in Scotland, made diligent moves from the beginning, snatching the ball from the end of the penalty box, giving Dyson Maeda enough space to open the scoring in the 6th minute. It did not count as an assist for Yang, but the Korean winger delivered when the team needed it, he went on to say. And it's an interesting little article. It shows you him playing against Aston Villa. The 22-year-old is the sole Korean in the Celtic squad this season as countryman left the club permanently to join Belgian team Genk last summer. And Kwon, who's away somewhere else, he's at Hibs, isn't he, Kwon? And it's interesting that they just... anyway, that's a shit article. Brendan Rodgers says that there is a player in there and he was pleased with him after wearing, and he wears the number 13 shirt. For me, it's a lucky number, but anyway, hey-ho. He went on to say that he's really pleased for him, and it's a big challenge playing for a club like Celtic. You have to create and score goals, and it worked for him today. Brendan Rodgers on the one and only Yang that gets a lot of mixed media. Let's jump into the comments and see who's all there. Remember who Yang was playing yesterday. Chilpil, I said that. Catch up with the show, I said that. And I did say that yesterday on the live last night, that I'm not going to get carried away with the whole Yang thing. I said it on the live last night. If you missed the live last night, go back and check it. I did say on the live last night, I'm not going to get overly excited about the level of opposition yesterday. Although Yang had a good game, although Dane Murray had a good game, you've got to look at the levels. Dane Murray is a young Scottish Celtic player. For me, that's enough to get excited about. The fact that we've got someone coming through the team that Brendan Rodgers can go to the very top of the game, to the very, very top of the game. And I think he can do it. I think he can do it. Brendan Rodgers said about Dane Murray, he says, look, when you change the back four, goalkeeper ahead of a game, and then you bring on Sinisalo, Sloop, Dane Murray against Rafe Rovers, you think, right, they should be good enough to beat it. For Dane Murray, it was his first start at Celtic since July 2021 when he featured against Midtjylland in the second leg of the qualifiers in the Champions League. When Ange Postecoglou was manager. He's not ever started a game since then. He's not had a competitive game in over 3.5 years, but he's still only 21. He's still only 21 years old. And for me, he's a player. Now, we talk about players going from the B team and leaving the B team and losing players and You know, what's wrong with the B team? Dane Murray's there. He's been here for years. He's come through the system, and he's a player that's listened to Celtic. And he wants to be with us, and that's big enough reason for me to back this guy to the hilt. Never mind about Daniel Cummins, never mind about Ben Doak, never mind about anybody else that's left Celtic. This guy's nailed his colours to the mast, and he's wanting to stay at Celtic, and he's in the first team. For me, we must back this kid to the hilt and make sure that he comes through and becomes an absolute legend, like Roy Aitken, like Kieran Tierney, to just name a few defenders that have came through that are Scottish. It's clear Brendan Rodgers sees Dane as the future starter. Yes, it is, Chilpil. And for me, it was absolutely brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant that he called him out after the game and said, look, I mean, he first played at Celtic when he was 17 or something, 16, 17, and he's never played since then. The fact that he's only 21 bodes well for the young lad. Bodes well for him. He's done his time. He's went out on loan and stuff, and he's been back at Celtic, and he's in and around the first team. And for me, that's all that really matters. Rodgers did say about him, he says, look, I'm so pleased for Dane Murray. I think he can be a really top player. I've seen him play here when he was, I've seen him play away from Celtic, and I think he's a good player. I've seen him when he was 17. I was impressed with him that night. It was interesting that Brendan Rodgers was watching that game. He played on the left side of centre half, he thinks, that night. Obviously, it's a real challenge for him in time that he's had some injuries. He didn't accept it. He went away and he worked on his body, and he worked on the pitch, and his power and speed, his dominance. He can play football. So I'm really pleased for him, because I said at the time, and I've said since then, he's played really well. Murray is still clearly developing, Brendan Rodgers says, but the clean sheet in his first start in years can't be frowned upon, especially considering when Stephen Welsh was allowed to go out on loan. Stephen Welsh has came through the system. Stephen Welsh is completely different. He's about 3 or 4 years older, and Stephen Welsh needs to be playing first team football. But for me, when you've got a Scottish guy that's coming through the system like Dane Murray, I think it's fantastic. And if we can get more players like that to stay at the club, it can only benefit the club. Rodgers is known for bringing on the youth talent and bringing on younger players and making them better and turning them into absolute superstars. So let's hope that Dane Murray will be one of those future superstars at Celtic. And you never know, one day he'll probably get sold for about 20 or 30 million, but it'll be cash in the bank. It doesn't matter, weaker opposition, he's getting on the park to learn. Exactly. James Duffin says, Murray had a good game yesterday. I was surprised when he was picked, as I've not seen him play. He played against Aston Villa, and he made a mistake against Aston Villa. He came on with about 10 minutes to go against Aston Villa, and he made a mistake, and he was raging. You could see him. He slipped a bit at the back, and he let the ball away, and they go and score. But he thumps the ground with his fist. He knew he made a mistake, and that was what was good about him. He wasn't just one of these players that just threw his arms up in the air and went, sorry lads. He was angry with himself, and that was enough to show me. And people the next day were like, Murray's pish, he's absolute shite, he shouldn't have been near the team. He's a young lad. Give these young lads a break. You can't have it on one hand that you're complaining about young lads leaving Celtic and moaning about Celtic not doing enough to keep these young players, and then on the other hand, slate them at the first mistake that they have when they're in a game. Give them a break. That's all I'm saying. Welsh can't close the gap at the top. Maybe a good season, he could bridge the gap in his game. Doesn't matter, weaker opposition is getting game time on the park. There's that. Now, there was a funny article went out, and you've got to love, well, you don't. I was going to say you've got to love the English, but you don't. Never say that, Baz. You never need to love the English. There was GiveMeSport.com. But there was an article, every British club to win the Champions League or the European Cup. And then it goes about, and the top of it, the summary is, English clubs dominated the Champions League between 2019 and 2023. Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City all lifting the title. Liverpool won the Champions League 6 times. Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, and Celtic had European Cup success before 1992. I fucking love it. Oh, the hatred of Celtic by these English media writers is fantastic, and it totally gets me going. I love it. After Chelsea's Champions League victory against Bayern Munich in 2012, English blah blah, who cares, bugger off, suck it. You've got to go right down to the bottom of the article. It's not even the bottom of the article, it's it is, way down the bottom, way, it's like going that far down. It's like they're getting into their guts and it's twisted them, and they're like, oh my god, they're going to have to talk about that Fenian Catholic team for Scotland. Fucking Scotland! Fucking Scottish wankers! And they say, it is at the very bottom of the article, yes, is Celtic. 13 of the 15 squad member who won the European Cup for Celtic in 1967 were born within 10 miles of the club. Home stadium in Glasgow, the Lisbon Lions became the first British side. Stick it up, yes. First British side to win the competition in 1966-67 season, beating Inter Milan 2-1 in the final. Jock Stein's side were 1-0 down in the first half. A spot kick, and they were halfway to losing, but the boys responded after the break with Tommy Gemmell, Stevie Chalmers overturning the deficit. Along with the European Cup triumphs, Celtic won 4 different trophies in the same season, including the Scottish Cup, the League Cup, and the Scottish Division 1, which is now the SPFL. Yeah, it must have really, really hurt the guy to write that one, because it's a way down at the bottom of the article. And it's just a reminder, as we go into the Champions League this week, yes, we were the first and only Scottish team to win the Champions League. Anyway, yesterday's game was fantastic, but it is all about moving on and thinking about the Champions League. And Brendan Rodgers has got a not so difficult decision to make, and he was asked about it yesterday after the game. He said it's going to be really difficult with Dyson Maeda being out of the game on Wednesday evening. And he said, yeah, it's difficult, but we've got a Jota. We've got a Jota. Yeah, we have Jota, and he said that kind of makes up for it a little bit. Although it will be Adam Eder that will run through the middle, and you'll have Johnny Kenny. Now, people were saying yesterday after the game, Johnny Kenny's not that good, is he? But you've got to give him time as well. He's just came from playing League of Ireland and playing at the bottom tier of European football. So, you can't start judging players after 1 or 2 games. For definite, that's for sure. I mean, there's lots of players at Celtic that we know who've turned it around good style, and maybe Johnny Kenny will be it. Gimme, Dyson Maeda. Yeah, gimme, that's a cracking song. But the reality will start to hit home as we get closer to this game, because let's face it, Vincent Kompany and co are going to bring a star-studded team of top-level footballers to Glasgow. Now, they are saying in Germany, look, this game's 50-50 in Glasgow. It's not cut and dry. They think it's not going to be, they know, Dyson Company's warning the players, they say, look, this will not be an easy game. Do not think that you're going to go over to Glasgow and we're going to stroll this. It's 50-50. They could actually win the game, but you never know. I think it'll be difficult to hold on to Dyson in the summer transfer window. Hopefully we'll keep him, says Jim F. It's always the case when a Celtic striker starts to look really good. And Dyson's got a lot of attributes that Brendan Rodgers spoke about that a lot of teams are looking for with strikers, especially in the modern game. He's got that pace. The modern game now, there's very rarely are a lot of goals scored by a striker in the 6-yard box. It is more fast attacking football, and that will put Dyson Maeda on the radar of a lot of clubs. I mean, I would even say Man United are that rubbish. It wouldn't surprise me if Man United were to come in for Dyson, because he would help out their goal scoring issues that they've got. Why has Celtic reached the final in 1970 versus Ajax never mentioned? Because we lost it. Dyson will shock them in Germany. I think he will shock them in Germany, but I'm just hoping that we're still within grasp of the tie. Guy Dyson 50 grand a week to keep him. Will Celtic break the wage structure to keep a hold of Dyson Maeda? If we don't break the wage structure, and if we don't do everything, I mean, people will, the club will say, look, he got a new contract a year ago. He signed a new contract a year ago. You can't keep just upping people's wages. Well, you can. It happens in everyday life. Sorry, but it happens in every walk of life. You know, you start performing in your job, you've got a right every year to go to the boss and go, listen, Gaffer, I'm wanting a wage rise. And people say, but it's football. Football's different. You sign a 4-year contract and that's it. You've signed the contract. Oh well, my agent's going to start looking for another team for me and still putting an offer of 20 million, and you'll lose me. Simple as that. You know, and then it's like Celtic. But I'm not suggesting that Dyson Maeda would do that. We need 2 goals of a start as we head to Germany. Yeah, we do. Steve Johnson says, come on everybody in the chat, smash the thumbs up button. There's only 32 thumbs up, and there's been 500 people in the live this morning. Was pointed out that Larsson was the last one to score 4. To hit 4. Well, Dyson has 3 in 3 weeks. I'm just reading some of these comments. Celtic will only break the wage structure if we are consistently progressing in Europe, says James Duffin. I think so. I've no idea, Chilpel, how much he's on. But James, yeah, I think that we have to be in the Champions League every season. We have to be getting that 40 to 50 million cash injection into the club. And that means finishing 24th and above every season. And can Celtic consistently do that in the Champions League? Yes, I think we can in the new format. We will need to get better players in. I mean, Brendan Rodgers is he knows that this is where he wants to be tested as a manager. And he knows that if he goes to another club down south, there's a chance that he's not going to finish in the top 6. So will that give Brendan Rodgers something to think about when it comes up for his contract renewal in this summer? How far can he take Celtic? What is the ambition of the club really? Is it to just go back to the good old, what Peter Lawwell used to say, like we just want to be dominant in Europe and get the extra odd cash for the Champions League? That thinking and that philosophy from Peter Lawwell held us back for a lot of years, and it actually made us go backwards some seasons, because there was seasons that we didn't get into the Champions League because we didn't get the players in first. It was always the case that Celtic said, let's get into the Champions League and then go and see what players we can get. And as fans, we're just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Do you know, are the people upstairs that just backwards when it comes to, can they not see what we see on the pitch? It's like, go and get the players now and then qualify for the Champions League, and then you're guaranteed the money if that's all you're thinking about. But I think Dyson's on about 18k a week. If he is, it's absolutely ridiculous if that's all he's on. If Dyson's only on 18 grand a week, Jesus, we will lose him. He can triple his wages. Dyson Maeda can go from 18 grand a week to 60, 70 grand a week easily, and down in England. And never mind England. I mean, there's teams around Europe that would pay that for Dyson Maeda. He could triple his wages, and that's the only thing that concerns me about the whole situation that Celtic find themselves going into in the transfer. But let's forget about that till the summer. Empty Celtics. Baz, we are still aren't the team that are paying the biggest wages in our own country, never mind elsewhere. Yeah, no, there's a team across the road that want to pay big amount. All they care is about performance in the accounts, Baz, says Brown Warrior. Obviously, it's and people will say, look, if that's what gets you 100 million in the bank, and 11 million down the drain. Arnie Ingles scores again, and folk will say, Jesus Christ, the one he's shite taking penalties. But Maeda, to me, and Tam Mack also says it, he's worth 50 grand a week. And he is 50. He's a 50 grand a week player all day long. When you look at a player that's just came into Celtic, who's on 60 grand a week, right? Jeffrey's on 60 grand a week. And to me, he's a mediocre player. He's nothing. He's never going to set the header on fire. He's never going to do what a Dyson Maida. I mean, Dyson Maida in England, Dyson Maida's 100. He's Kieran Tierney wages. He's Kieran Tierney wages. 115, 120, 130 grand a week easily. If his agent was really want to push it, he could get Dyson on the massive wages. So much was Kyogo on. Don't know, don't care, he's gone. And I believe that he's not having a great time in France. No wonder it's France. Cameron Carter-Vickers is on 37k. Callum McGregor's on 37k. That's our top earners. It's weird to think that if they two are on 37 and if Kieran Tierney's coming back for 35, I can't see Kieran Tierney coming back for 35 if that was the case. He'd be wanting the same as Calmac. Baz, the summer window gives me the fear, saying on his forum the last day of January, we won't spend until the qualifying is over. Don't say that. I think Brendan Rodgers, just checked on Google, it says Kyogo was on 19 grand at Celtic. There we go. And that, for me, I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, Celtic, there's a poll, right? We'll do a poll. There's a good poll. There's a poll for you this morning. Are Celtic underpaying the top stars? Are we underpaying our top stars? And I think I know what the answer will be to that. When you see what mediocre players can earn just south of the border, when you see what mediocre players can earn in other countries, and people will say, look, it's the market, it's the business model. The business model 4 or 5 years ago, we were playing consistently, we were paying over 35 grand to the majority of our first team. Paying over 30 grand to the majority of our first team. No wonder Greg Taylor wants to leave. Yep. And there's a couple of people who think that we're not underpaying our top stars. Like Dyson Maida, Rio Hatate, who's just left Kyogo. Sevco pay their players more and always have done. If we lose Maida, it would be a bigger loss than Kyogo, definitely. Dyson could go out to the APL and get 100 grand a week. Yes, he could. Same ticket prices as down south, but we claim we can't afford wages. Is it the same ticket prices as down south? Because Celtic season tickets are around about 600 to 700 pounds a year. I don't think that there's many clubs in the English Premier League that are under £1,000 a year for a season ticket. Now, I wouldn't know. I don't know ticket prices. Let me see if we can get it. What are the average season ticket price in the... Oh, there you go. The average price of the season ticket. Let me just click on this. Arsenal. Oh, that's quite a big... Let's visit this. This was September 2024, this article. Tottenham have the biggest... Jesus. That can't be right. That's the standard cost of a shirt. Jesus. It's expensive for a shirt. Average season ticket prices. What a stupid little... If you're going to do a... thing on your website, make sure that it's big enough for people to read. Arsenal, 1,700. That's the season ticket prices in... That's in dollars. What the fuck? No one in dollars, you absolute retrobates of a website. There we go. 2025. Every ticket prices. Most expensive season ticket down south is it's not actually. It's Fulham. $3,000 at Fulham. What? The cheapest season ticket in the English Premier League. The cheapest season ticket is £740 at Everton. Well done, Everton. £740. That's the cheapest ticket. Tickets range from, and this is going by club, £2,000 at Arsenal, Aston Villa, 944, and then you've got Chelsea, like over 1,000. Newcastle, 1,163. Nottingham Forest, 850. Manchester United, 1,057. So yeah, I mean the season ticket prices in the English Premier League are way more. And Celtic could get even more if they built up the stadium. But that's you're right. But as Dyson should be double on what he was. Any chance of keeping him? He could finish his career here, I think. Not hoping for much, says Smithy. I think you're right. I mean, if Dyson is on such a low wage at $18,000, I mean, you're going to if that's common knowledge down south, you're going to get at least 3 or 4 teams down south going, do you know what? I'm going to take a punt on that Dyson Maeda for Celtic. He's scoring goals for fun up there. He's doing it in the Champions League. If he's doing it in the Champions League, he'll score goals for fun down here with his pace. I mean, if last season Man City were seriously looking at Kyogo, you've got to say that it's Dyson will be off. I wish my 15 again season tickets was only 120 back then. Tell me about it. I remember my ex-wife saying pitchside Man U was 10k a season. What? 10k a season? It's only $1,000. Of course, we are underpaying. You compare top leagues in Europe, we're in Scotland, and the players earn good money here, says Mark. But football isn't just a domestic industry, is it? Football's not a domestic industry, as we all know. We are bringing in players from Japan, and okay, they might be earning more than what they're earning in Japan, and maybe that's good enough for them, but football's an international industry. And our wage structure, and I don't want to go back down to go over the video that I did after the deadline day, the next day, talking about managed decline, and that's what we're going through again, is a period of reducing the wage bill. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about do we underpay our stars, which is kind of talking about the same thing, I know. But there's 20% saying no, that we're not underpaying our stars. And I think that those people, obviously, I pay $750 for my season ticket. Well, Chilpill, I'm going to tell you something. See these tickets. That's not that one. This one. That's an easy one to get. I better not show that because it's got my whole name on it. These ones, let me just do this right so I can get it on. These season tickets, Club Celtic Lounge. These, when I first went into the Club Celtic Lounge, were £1,400 a year. £1,400 a year. Now, I came out that around about 2019, and when I came out it then, there were $2,000 a ticket, and I had 2 of them. There were $2,000 a ticket, $2,000 a seat just to sit on a leather seat. So it shows you that there are people willing to pay more to go and watch Celtic, and it's a crazy amount of money. Don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic seat, and the Club Celtic Lounge is a fantastic lounge, but it's a crazy amount of money when you think about it. The gossip at the time was Henrik was on $40,000 a week, and Fergus McCann, who gave him that, but he left. Hopefully he wants to stay and be a legend like Larson if he stays for a few more seasons. After fame, not money, like Kyogo. I don't think Kyogo was after fame and money, he went to play in a better league because he was told to go by his international boss. So we've done the Dane Murray story, talked about Dane Murray this morning. We've done that. See if there's any other headlines. What's this one? Yeah, it's all about Bayern Munich now. And Bayern Munich reckon that there's a 50-50 chance that Celtic may win the first leg in Glasgow. Vincent Kompany, star-studded sides can give a positive account of their first leg in Glasgow, but they said it's not going to be easy playing against Celtic. It's one club that they didn't really want to get because it will be a difficult away tie. The squad believes that we will be in the quarterfinals. At least we have to take care. Fucking who cares? Vincent Kompany actually said, I know people see us as favourites, but normally the reality is that both Bayern and Celtic have a 50-50 chance to go through. The statistics and history of the competition won't decide the outcome. That's not football. To play the second match in Munich will give us a little bit of an advantage, but it's our challenge is to obtain a positive score in Glasgow. If we do not obtain a positive score in Glasgow, it's going to make it a bit more difficult in Germany, and we'll have to go all out for the win. We have watched Celtic. They are an excellent team. They deserve their place as one of the best teams in the Champions League. Yes, that was Vincent Kompany, the Bayern Munich manager. Anyway, that is me. I am done and dusted for this morning. We'll finish off this poll. There's only been 92 votes. So it's a bit of a quiet morning this morning. 93 votes. We'll shut that one up. 60 pence. Celtic versus Athletic Madrid. Celtic part in the 70s. Brown Warrior says the whole Japan manager thing was confusing. We were selecting Maeda, who was at Celtic Baz. I just don't think the Japan manager rated him highly as other strikers. Yeah, I think that's it. Exactly. I think Kyogo was always struggling because he was under the limelight was all on Daisen Maeda in Japan. Angelo, who has been awake half the night, it's 5 p.m. where he is. He says, hit the thumbs up. He's playing smart. He doesn't want to admit Bayern are favourites. It's all or nothing at Paradise. Anything can happen. It can that. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans all around. Will they come on later tonight? I don't know. Wait and see. Might do, might not. Anyway, have a fantastic day wherever you are, Celtic fans all around the world.
Lit. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the lit. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party.